Hey guys, Mike here. Today guys, in this video, I'd like to talk to the tradesmen, the folks in the skilled trades like carpenters, electricians, plumbers, HVAC, pipe fitters, insulators, mechanics, already said that, iron workers, painters, anything. I'm a carpenter myself. I've been a carpenter my whole life. So we have some unique things that has to be brought up and talked about more, because I didn't see it anywhere in the jobs and places I've worked at where it was taken very serious. And that's the unique hazards we face in our occupation. We need to kind of target that when we're thinking about supplements, health, and nutrition. So what I mean by that is that, let's take welders for example. Welders are exposed to heavy metals, light metals, heavy, everything. They're grinding often with an angle grinder or whatever to chip off something or maybe re-weld it or clean a weld. They're always throwing stuff in the air. It's very thick. It's not like some cigarette smoke. When this stuff gets in the air, it's bad. It sucks. It's best to keep the area a little bit with this green grassy material that will help keep the dust down. It's like you throw it on the ground and it'll mix with everything and keep everything down there so you're not kicking it back up and all that. And you can dry out a surface or something real quick and then brush it off with that. So for them, they need to focus more on getting heavy metals out of their body, on cleansing and purifying their lungs, making sure that they're properly masked up and everything every single day, and avoid smoking things that's bad for your lungs. Although, I mean, a lot of these guys do smoke, and I don't think they're going to stop. These are some pretty stubborn folks sometimes. So just to have an emphasis pretty much on that bad part of the job. There's a lot of roofers and floor guys. They're always having lower back issues, knee issues. In the lower back, I don't know the part that it's called, but it's the two muscles on the side of your spine, and it's pretty far down. Those are for floor guys. And that's because the position that they gotta be in for hours and how unnatural it is to the human body to do. And I'm talking about click flooring, not horrible you stand on and bang an angle stapler through. I'm talking about click flooring, engineered flooring, that kind of stuff, tongue and groove, anything like that. You're like reaching far ahead of yourself and to your left and right often. It's a horrible 4 or 5 hours. We won't get a full day doing this. And roofers, when they're walking on the roof, often they'll have issues around their heel, around their knees, and these will really, their knees get bent up from using them to rest their weight on while they're on the roof, especially on a steeper pitched roof. You can it's a little more comfortable if you can just be on a real tall roof. It's not as dangerous as it looks or scary. If you have a high-pitched roof and you got a toe board, like you can lean your knees kind of on the roof and it's like real easy to work off of. Again, it's a massive fall and there's nothing beyond that toe board you can get, but still, this is often a position roofers find themselves in. Everything from also just being so tensed up, adrenaline packed from the constant danger. I mean, that's a horrible part for roofers, and a lot of fear, stress, that's cortisol, of course. That was loud. So you got cortisol and all that, and that's just doing real bad damage to them. In that case, I'd advise some magnesium, and I'd advise some ashwagandha if that works. Some people don't like ashwagandha. It's a little more controversial than I thought. So if you could increase the GABA and decrease the cortisol, and you'll have a much more relaxed brain and that's better for everything. Your brain, when it's stressed, it's misfiring and sending stuff to the wrong signals and all this. If you're calm, cool, and collected, your brain is in the best position, and hopefully you're not loaded up just on granulated sugar or something. Try to get like good sources of fat and all that to run your brain. So that would be another recommendation. And then some roofers, it doesn't bother them, but they may have another ailment. Let's say shoulders, carrying shingles and hauling stuff like a canoe on top of your head for the metal panels on a roof to hang them. That often leads to damage in the shoulder area, particularly pressing the shoulder, and I believe that's called the clavicle that connects your collarbone. Yeah, the collarbone. So that collarbone and your clavicle are being forced down, and so is the ball joint for your shoulder. So it's really bad. So one thing I advise easily, I'm glad I brought this up, is to carry loads on the opposite side. And some days try to carry it mainly with your non-dominant side. And this will, over time, also, it'll give you more time of a healthy life because it's not killing one side, where if one side goes down completely, it doesn't matter what the other one's doing. But you'll get some more wear and tear on your other side, which still has a good bit more life than your dominant one. And all your joints will also realign kind of from one side of your body being force exerted on more. And your spine, all that will start to realign itself in a better manner because the muscles are more developed on one side than the other. If you can kind of correct that, you're canceling some damage and you're allowing wear and tear to be distributed over another half of that system. So for all that, I'd recommend, of course, physical therapy, which is, I don't do the physical therapy when it comes to major problems like that. It's a doctor or something's more appropriate when you have so much going on like that right there. But if you could go to some people who you could exercise with, and y'all can do cross stretches and all that, where they put the knee in the back of your spine and pull your arms back. These are just stretches and stuff that sparring partners would often do before fighting in wrestling or whatever they were doing. So another one is the person picks the other person up and cracks their back by dropping them suddenly and pulling in, and it pops a couple parts of the spine. And another one is like a headlock, and it's to bend the head left and right, not necessarily straight forward. You already got enough good stretches to do that, but if you can get a person who knows how to adjust it and all that, they know, because people do it to them too. They're both stretching each other out before they spar. They'll kind of help you with the left and the right pulling of your neck. It'll pull those shoulders and all those muscles being wrapped around that area. It'll help to pull them up. And so you're distributing the load, but also you're using the other half of your body now. But also you can take these measures to kind of recorrect the damage. And these stretches will that one works very well for me. Another one is where you can lean off of your arm, and it pulls like your shoulder joints, where the shoulder ball is and all. And those are just some stuff that I think any tradesman, not just roofers and all, could benefit. For electricians particularly, I would recommend just making sure your hair is not exposed at work, because I got long hair. I've worked as an electrician a lot too. It's my second trade, and my hair has got caught in wires and loops and hooks and lugs and everything on earth, and it's just been lucky enough none of it was an accident. So you need to cover your hair and like put something over it at work if you're working, of course, on the inside, which electricians are doing that like 95% of the time. They wire signs and all outside, but almost all their work is inside, pretty much. So that's what I would recommend, and that's not a fitness or nutrition aspect. That's just a PPE measure. As far as like, who else? Drywallers, framers, pretty much just suffer general wear and tear. They're using all their body. Scaffolders, their legs are being overexerted. Form guys too. Their form work, I think it's probably the hardest work I've ever did in my life. And I did like almost every hard job. And I was making excellent money at it, 2-3 times what everybody else is making. And it's just really hard. I'm talking about physically, calorie aspect wise. It was the only job that I've ever worked that I remember everybody going to their trucks and cars at the end of the day and going to sleep in the parking lot. And we wake up at like a couple hours later and there's no traffic, and it was rough. It's very hot. It's outside. It's in these cement caucuses sometimes that have like mazes and floors and stories in the basement. And it's all just concrete there. There's no systems to pull the air, nothing like that. And it can just bake and bake and bake and bake and bake in that Georgia sun. So, and you're often hanging off of rebar and passing stuff up with your raw strength. So you'll build core strength from belly hooking and sitting there with the loop around your belly holding you. And you're still supposed to use a pelican hook also. But when you're off the belly part, you're building your core up a lot. The feet, when they're stepping up the form, going higher, 20-30 feet in the air, they're using their feet for that, but they're transferring the forces all throughout their body. And the abdomen, the abs and all that transfers that force. That's real crucial and key to getting a full body effect on something like that, like climbing. So whilst their legs are working and contracting and all that, their arms are pulling themselves up or passing forms that weigh maybe anywhere from 20 to 80, 90 pounds, maybe more. And it's being passed like a daisy chain. The people will pass it over to the man that's above them, and they'll just have they can have hundreds of these guys going at one time to build the most big plants on earth. I've worked in some of the largest. I worked at the largest site on earth at one point. I think in a couple years it was taken over by a different site, but I've been on sites that are huge. I've been to probably 2 places that are together are probably $70 billion, just to give you an idea of 2 places I worked at. If you were to figure the amount of money that was spent on construction, on all that kind of stuff. So you're talking about the top 5 stuff on earth. So you're passing these forms up, building your arms, climbing and all that. And you work that the majority of the day. The thing about form carpenters, unless you're the guy on the ground that's building the wooden forms, which are like job-built forms, custom forms, like a little corner, we got to seal up a little area we're worried about. We can call down some box or something to put in that place, and you measure. You'll take a laser, get all that stuff, and then you can call down to the shop carpenter to build the box and then pass it up to you in like 20 minutes or 30 minutes whenever he's done. And so that's just a large calorie thing. And the rebar guys, y'all have to deal with the shoulders being compressed a lot of times from carrying those heavy loads. I've seen 20, 30 of these guys put stuff on their shoulders, and it's just wild. It's crazy how much they can carry. And all the rebar just moving it. It's like the heaviest shit on earth. So for those guys, they're hanging on the walls. They're exuberating a lot of calories. They're getting a lot of wear and tear on their shoulder joints and all that. So that's what's pertinent to that one. Painters, of course, they have exposure to a lot of chemicals, a lot of metals and stuff. So for the painters, I would look into trying to do, I guess, similar to the welders, trying to improve your air quality, trying to purify yourself from metals and chemicals, the paint thinners and all that. Every gallon of paint is chemical laced. It's always getting on their body and getting zapped in through their skin. So that's another thing. Cover your body if you're painting. You've got to stop this paint drops on the body stuff. I'm not gonna Google like, is paint bad to dry on your skin? I mean, it's probably bad for you. So that's what I advise to them. Know when to wear a fume mask also, painters, when you're doing the sealants and the higher end natural stuff and log cabins and all that. You're gonna be shooting it with poly, or you're doing some sand seal, or whatever you're doing. You might be doing busher blocks. Just make sure you filter the air and you get a fume mask. It's well, you already know, it's a particular mask for the very fineness of fumes. Sprayers often, they're releasing tons of that into the air. So that's the big thing about the painters, is cleaning up that air, really. Painters don't have to lift anything heavy because they're basically lifting a brush. So they're not like lugging 2x6s 2 stories, or chunking drywall 30 feet in the air, or building forms and all that. In general, the painter has a less strenuous activity. It's again, chemical exposure is very serious with it. So particularly air, stuff you're breathing it in. It's easier to keep the paint off of you than to try to not breathe in the fumes off of the paint. And a couple good things: just turn the air on. That'll pull some of the moisture out, the air conditioning. Even if the people are crying, whatever, talking about energy and this and that, you need to get that paint dry. And if there's air blowing in there and it's not a room that's occupied, or you got the window slightly cracked also, that fresh air is going to help to expel all of that out of there coming from the vent. It's a really good investment, actually, compared to just cooling your house for whatever. You're helping to push those fumes out, not go back into the rest of the house. And this is clean air that is dried because it's done ran through the unit, and that'll push that heavily saturated air out. So that's one thing about painters. Let's see, plumbers, it's pretty, digging in the ground, there's always that, digging ditches, whether you're renting equipment or doing it by shovel. It's a tough job. It can be a really tough job too. The twisting and turning of the plumber's hands in irregular places does seem kind of weird. I've did a little bit of plumbing, but I don't really I don't do any plumbing without direct supervision of a competent plumber, because I'm not that good at it, and I can do the basic stuff like anything on a basic 2x4 house, but as far as commercial, no, I'm lost. It's a whole nother world for both electric and plumbing in that aspect. But I have a lot of experience with commercial electrical work also, though. So that would be the one thing I noticed from doing plumbing, is twisting my hands in irregular angles, being on your back like you're on a shop floor or something like that. You're always in like bathrooms and stuff, and they always got dog pee-pee and just all that bathroom stuff is in there. and you're breathing that in. Usually if you're there, you're chipping tile. That releases all the trapped stuff into the air. There might have been water damage, so the framing and all that might have mold and such around it. So that's some things about plumbing. Plumbing is a really good trade, though. It's one of the best. I think it's probably second to electrical work, if as far as pay and like how dangerous and all it is. And only if you feel competent, though. Don't do stuff you don't have you shouldn't have a shadow of a doubt that you're doing this correctly. So, who else? Of course, there's, door guys and fence guys. I'm just put them under carpentry. Although those are two sweet sub-trades within carpentry if you ever wanted to make a lot of money. Windows and doors is the easiest money to me. It's really easy. But what else? Mechanics. So mechanics are dealing with the same issue as the plumbers, but it's like times 10 as far as twerking their hand and like in tight positions and busting that soft skin around your fingers. They're exposed to, of course, oil, of course, grease, the heavy stuff that's involved with that. The shop environment's pretty dirty. A lot of them are in that environment, maybe sometimes with closed doors and not enough ventilation. And that just leads to a whole bunch of bad stuff because you got all that bad air in there. And so I think that's about it. That's all the trades I can really think of right now. Of course, pipe fitters have the welders issues, but pipe fitters also have a similar to the rebar guys. They're carrying these large pipes, these large flanges, all sorts of heavy knuckles for massive pipes. They're often doing that with their body. So pipe fitters have like even worse than the rebar guys, I would say, as far as stuff being thrown on their body and having to use it. And then they get the fun of usually welding the pipe too, which exposes them to the heavy metals and such. So they're getting the muscles and bone issues and all that, and the fumes and such. And carpenters, a lot of times general carpenters will have kind of a bad cut too, because often they're working on stuff that, like the bathroom incident, where it's moldy, there's a pee and all that everywhere. You're usually working with a painter, so you could be exposed to that stuff too. You have to paint a little bit sometimes yourself. You have to work with your woodworkers, and all the slurry of chemicals that's involved with that is crazy. So I don't even do that. I use everything I use is clean, organic, and safe as far as sealants and fine woodwork, because I don't like to work with anything that's like sold at Lowe's, because it's just all laden with fumes. I don't even want to be close to it. So I have natural processes that result in, it might not be as good, maybe 90% as good as far as what the customer would want, but I just don't like exposing myself to anything like that ever again in my life. So I think that's about it, y'all. If y'all got any questions, comments, or concerns, or your own trade that maybe I forgot, I apologize. Well, let's go with the insulators real quick. Insulators, as far as a large commercial one on plants, they're always exposed to the insulative materials, which is highly packed with chemicals. And they're tucking this around pipes and moving up and down with scissor lifts and putting jackets on different pipes and putting other, anything that will go over it, fire retardants, all these kind of things, controlling whether something needs to be hot, maybe the one right next to it needs to be cold, and they'll basically come in and fill all the gaps and insulate the plant when it's pretty much about to be done. They come in real late after all the pipes and most electrical work and all's done. So that's it, y'all. Have a great day. Thank you.